What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Junior Mafia coming back to you with another video. So I just finished watching WrestleMania Night 2, and there's some things we definitely have to unpack on what happened in this show. But before we get into that, I want to talk about WrestleMania Night 1 real quick. I apologize for not putting the recap video out for Night 1 because I had an event to attend to yesterday after the show. So I was able to catch a lot of it, but I couldn't take any notes. So I'm going to go off the top of my head, you know, of one of the good things I saw from each match and whatnot. And by the end of all of this, I want to give my final thoughts of WrestleMania as a whole. So y'all be on the lookout for that one. And I'm going to skim through a whole lot of Night 1. So this video don't take so long because I definitely want to talk about Night 2. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So for Night 1, we had Jey Uso taking on Gunther to kick off the show. And I love Jey entrance. You know, he had people like the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, cheerleaders out there, dancing and all that. And he had a bunch of people from the ramp coming down with like yeet flags and all. So he had that whole Allegiant Stadium on tilt. And everybody's dancing, doing their yeet dance and all that. So he's embracing it and whatnot. So he gets in the ring, Gunther gets in there and all, and match begins. And Gunther been on the offense for mostly the beginning of the match and whatnot. And Jey started to pick it up after that. And it's to the point where, you know, Gunther had enough and he was going to leave out, grab his title, and walk up the ramp. Well, these people thought it was going to happen, but that was his pretty much his plan of saying, nah, I'm going to catch him off guard. So as he grabbing it and, you know, he's arguing with the refs and all that, once the ref wasn't paying attention, Jey, like he's about to do a suicide dive, and he clocked him with the title. So as that happened and all, he gets in the ring and whatnot, and starts to put him into the chokehold to where Jey was able to get out of that. Then, you know, he started getting on the offense and they was trading fisticuffs back and forth. And as that's happening and Gunther started to get on attack mode, Jey is just laughing because he felt like, yo, I got this in the bag right now. Like, he can't stop me. So as that's happening, you know, Gunther was going to get pissed, and this was Jey's plan all along. So he was able to capitalize on it, and then he just goes up to the he hits him with a spear, then he goes up to the top rope, hits a Uso splash on him, then he gets to the other top rope, hits another Uso splash on him, then gets on the top rope again, hits a third one, and he knew like it was not enough, so he proceeds to wait for Gunther to get up and puts him into a chokehold. And as he's choking on Gunther, the unthinkable happens. Gunther taps out. Now, everybody was anticipating that he was going to win from a pin, but for him to tap out Gunther speaks a lot. And this is very interesting because, if I'm being honest, I don't think Gunther ever tapped out, ever. And for Jey to pull that off and beat him for the title speaks a lot and whatnot. And I know the WC community was going to go off on Twitter and all that about that finish and whatnot. No. Like, Jey deserved this win. And he needed this win. So, for him to celebrate and whatnot, pyro going off, then Jimmy comes into the ring and he celebrates with him too. It was just a sensational moment right there because of the way how Jey, the journey he had to go through that led up to this moment. You know, when people was saying that they couldn't tell the difference between him and Jimmy and whatnot, and they being a tag team and all that, and people not consider you know, main event worthy or going on a singles run. Then Jimmy gets hurt during the pandemic. Roman gives him an opportunity to compete for the title, and it's the birth of main event Jey Uso. There he gets the right-hand man position with Roman, and then he branches out and decides to be his own man, wins the Intercontinental Championship, and then now leading up to him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. You gotta respect him for that right there, and the trials and tribulations he had to go through. So I was very excited for him. Glad he's World Heavyweight Champion. Now, do I think he will have a long title reign with that? No. I'm expecting him to probably lose it around SummerSlam. And who his opponent going to be? Most likely Braun Breaker. So we'll see how things go. But overall, I definitely was excited for the match. It was definitely good. And the right person won. Then, excuse me. Then we got to talk about the tag team match of the War Raiders versus the New Day, which was really the low point of WrestleMania. And of course I didn't take no, excuse me, I just said that earlier, but in my opinion, I didn't really pay this match no mind because it didn't really deliver that I expected it to. And War Raiders had offense. I always loved the in-ring work. Without a shadow of a doubt, I love it. Same goes with the New Day, but I was saying my previous videos that I was a fan of New Day's heel work. I think it should have been a lot better once they really turned on Big E, said what they said and all that. And I thought they was going to build off that, but that haven't really been the case so far. And let's call it what it is. New Day was going to win. They definitely was going to win. Now, this match right here should never have been on that card. This felt like more like a Monday Night Raw match or SmackDown, whatever the case may be. But this definitely did not deserve to be on the card. So, I really didn't care so much about it because I already knew the New Day was going to win. So, this is like a throwaway match for me. And they end up getting the victory and are your new WWE World Tag Team Champions. So, there's that. Next, I believe we had LA Knight taking on Jacob Fatu. And that match was some heavy hitting as I expected. I definitely enjoyed it and whatnot. Jacob Fatu, as usual, he never disappoints and was going on offense and all that. LA Knight definitely, delivered as well. And, they really put on a good performance. And, of course, Jacob Fatu with him and gaining the momentum of packing up LA Knight with the hip attacks and then the moonsaults and all that off the rope to get the win. Keep in mind, no interference from Tama Tonga or Solo Sikoa. And he won on his own. And that was a special moment in him, enjoying the moment with his father, Haku. And when she jumped the barricade, as far as I know, the security guards was about to come at him. Like, he thought he was a regular fan. Like, nah, like, you know who Haku is, man? So that's why they backed away and all that. But it was a dope moment for him to embrace his son winning the United States Championship. So I'm definitely happy for Solo. I think he's going to go on a tremendous run with that title because I don't envision the circumstance somebody takes that off him. Without a doubt. I don't see that happening. So I was definitely excited for him. The match was very good. Then we got Rey Fenix taking on El Grande Americano. Now, it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but he did get hurt in that six-man tag team match at SmackDown before WrestleMania, and because of that, they needed a replacement, and Rey Fenix being the one to get replaced was the right move. And as much as I said El Grande Americano was going to lose, and then they was going to reveal his mask after, me saying about Rey Mysterio doing it, that didn't happen. But his character's starting to grow on me now, slowly. And he's definitely entertaining. And the match itself was good. Rey Fenix, he can go with anybody. And it would be that fucking good. And I definitely like some spots that El Grande Americano, that he did, it was very, very good. And of course, El Grande Americano won. I was expecting Ray Phoenix to win, but I guess they're going to continue to build this El Grande Americano character more and more. And I'm looking forward to see how they do things right there. Now, did I want Ray Phoenix to lose for the first time? Absolutely not. But it's okay because it's not going to hurt his stock whatsoever. He's still going to be good down the line. So I was all right with the finish of that one and him winning. So we'll see how things goes. Then we had gotten Tiffany Stratton taking on Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. And in my opinion, the match was decent, but you could tell the chemistry was off between the two. You can definitely see it. And I know the talks about the professionalism of Charlotte and Tiffany. Is it going to be neutral when they face each other, or is going to be issues? And like I said, it was a lack of communication and whatnot, and truly believe that none of them try to go into business for themselves. So I say it was a decent match, and the right person won, like I expected it to be, Tiffany Stratton, because it wouldn't have made no sense for Charlotte to beat her and to capture her 14th Raw title. Like, it don't make any sense. Excuse me. It don't make any sense. And the right person won. So I'm excited for Tiffany Stratton to retain. Now, who going to be her next opponent coming up, I don't know. But we'll see how things go and whatnot. But I don't think this feud is over yet, especially with Backlash 2 weeks away. I think they're going to run it back, and Tiffany may potentially beat her again. So we'll see how things goes. But, it was definitely a decent match and whatnot. So there's that. Then we got to get to the main event, the triple threat match that, in my opinion, chef kiss. So fucking good. And makes me think that should have made event of night 2 instead of night 1. And I'll speak about that later on. But you had Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins coming out, and Seth Rollins like he had like a glad bag on him and whatnot until it was screaming black, and it transitioned to him having all white on. And I thought that was dope. I definitely like that moment right there. You have Roman coming out there. The aura with him was top notch. So, it was definitely dope. And then CM Punk had a very, very good opening package video. Of him, his journey from when he started in WWE, from ECW up until he got to Raw and whatnot, and SmackDown. And you see the growth of his character a lot. And with Paul Heyman being involved in that too. And I love that they inserted Kill Switch Engage throughout that whole video package. That was so, so good. And then it transitioned over to Living Color playing Cult of Personality. And if I'm not mistaken, y'all can let me know in the comments down below. I believe that was the same exact outfit that he wore at WrestleMania 29 when he fought The Undertaker. The all yellow, and he had the sweater on and whatnot. I believe that's what it was. And if so, that was a good callback. And when they get in the ring, it was like fast paced. You had CM Punk coming out the ring talking to Paul Heyman about what's the strategy, talking strategy, like, how do I handle these two and all. And you had Paul Heyman talking to him. Then you see Roman Reigns pretty much walking like, you serious right now? And Seth saying like, yo, I told you. I said, see, he not deserve to be here. Like, this is not about him. Let's take him out and be done with this problem. When it looked like Reigns is all in to it, he hits Seth with a right hook. Match starts. So it was very fast pacing. Then CM Punk was gonna get involved, and they had some very good spots and all that. And again, I couldn't take any notes from it, but for what I saw, the counters, like the multitude of counters that they have, was so dope. And you see Roman Reigns do the duration of the match, points at Paul Heyman like, "Yo, you turned on me for this," and said like, "Yo, whatever happens to CM Punk is your fault. All of this is your fault." So, as that's happening and whatnot, there was a spot that I definitely enjoyed, and this was when CM Punk was laid out, and you see Seth Rollins, and they telling him like, here's Seth telling him like, "Yo, let's powerbomb him through the announce table and all that, and be done with him." And as much times like, Roman was torn up, like, between Paul Heyman being on the opposite side and how everything was turning out, he said, "You know what, screw that. Let's powerbomb him through there." And what looked like it was about to happen, and you see the crowd uproar, and it was so exciting that we was gonna get a Shield moment again. Especially it was shades after, when they first debuted and packed up Rock and Punk doing the triple power bomb on the announce table, and only for Roman to pretty much hit Seth like, "Nah, that ain't happening. I'm gonna do this on my own." Picks up Seth, CM Punk, puts him through the announce table, then gets Seth Rollins, proceeds to put him through the announce table, and at that moment there, he had all momentum. Then it gets back into the ring, and what I think was the craziest things that happened is when Roman grabs Punk, throws him into the ring, and puts a guillotine lock on him. And what looked like he was about to pretty much submit, Punk was able to reverse that into the Anaconda Vice, had it locked in, and then you see Seth Rollins gets in the ring and puts a sharpshooter onto, I think, CM Punk, I believe. And you had literally two submission holds happening at the same time. And I said that was so good. And then you have one of the other counters here where it went from Roman hitting a spear on Punk that led to a curb stomp, I believe. Something like that. But it was so good. How everything, it was very fast pacing, fast pacing. Excuse me. I'm so tongue twisted. And the match was, very good and engaging too. And it told stories through every move that was going on. So when we get towards the climax of it, you see Paul Heyman grabs the chair, and he was going to get involved into it. Grabs a chair, and when it looked like he was going to get a Roman, he slots it to CM Punk. So CM Punk gets up, about to use the chair. Paul Heyman gets in the ring as well. And when it looked like he's about to hit Roman, and you see Paul Heyman telling him, like, "Finish this off. You need to be done with this and whatnot if you're going to win." And as CM Punk proceeds to go and hit Roman, Paul Heyman hits a low blow on him. And that crowd was stunned. Michael Cole sold the shit out of this. He, in commentating wise, he was the MVP of that match. It was spot on. Then you see Roman laughing, like, "You gonna fall for that okie doke and all that. I told you that he was gonna rock me right now. That's my wise man." And same thing. Paul Heyman passes Roman the chair and tells him, hit Seth Rollins with it and whatnot, and be done. So as it looked like it was about to happen too, and Roman is getting ready to hit Seth with it, out of nowhere, Paul Heyman hits a low blow on Roman. And once that happened, I said, uh-oh. We finally got an answer on who he's loyal to now, which I already expected because I knew firsthand CM Punk had no business winning this match because the W for him was main event in WrestleMania. That was one to go off his checklist, and he said he wanted to become champion. That can happen down the line. So I know he was going to win it, and I knew for a fact Roman was going to win it. And it just has Seth Rollins written all over it for him to win this match. And the main question was who was going to eat the pin. And what the finish of that match was, clearly we got our answer. Because after he low blow Roman Reigns and he gave Seth the chair, and Seth had he paused for a second and turned around and saw what Paul did to Roman, and all he could do was just laugh. So he grabs the chair, hits Roman in the back with it, shades of 12 years ago with the Shield. And once that was done, his curb stomp onto Roman, and he goes to pin him for the 1, for the 2, for the 3. And Seth Rollins walks out the victor of this match. And this is what made it so interesting because, again, Roman Reigns, his kryptonite is Seth Rollins. Every time when Roman was on top, when reality hit him, Seth Rollins was in the picture. He was when he did the heist of the century and pinned Roman to win his first WWE championship. Then it happened last year when Roman put all his attention, onto Seth Rollins. And he thinking that for what he did to him 10 years ago at that time frame, or 11 years, that it was going to be doing him justice only for him to get distracted and Cody beat him. And that was Seth's last laugh because he felt like he played a focal point of destroying Roman. And then now this time around, being turned from your wise man and Seth Rollins beating you, causing you going down another hiatus yet again. You know, of course it's going to hurt Roman the most. And is he going to come back with a whole new demeanor? That remains to be seen. But you can tell right now the right person won. And how it happened was so perfect. Picture perfect. There's nothing else to say after that, man. Me talking about it don't do justice. Y'all have to check it for yourself. That's how fucking good it was. And that was the best way to conclude night 1. So now with that in the books, we jumping right into night 2. And we had a match. The triple threat. Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. And those 3 ladies delivered. You know, as usual, you know that Bianca and Rhea was definitely going to isolate Io through the picture, and you're going to argue and he was going to go do a battle of fisticuffs until Io had enough yet again and went on full attack mode and whatnot. And this was some interesting spots in this matchup. It was a lot to, go through, and I was already traveling home watching it, so I was, dibbling dabbling through the match. But what I was able to see, it was good. Very, very good. I love one of the spots where I think Rhea tried to hit a riptide off the top rope on Io that got reversed. And as it happened, it transitioned to a KOD from Bianca Belair. I think that was dope. I think one of the finishes I loved, which was towards the ending, was when Rhea was on the top turnbuckle and it looked like she was about to hit Io with some move until she had her in a reverse. I think it was going to be a reverse Hurricanrana. And when Rhea was able to counter that and Io had bounced off the ring post, I thought she was legit hurt because you can hear an echo when that happened. And you see Bianca Belair hits a KOD on a Rhea Ripley, and she goes in for the pin, only for Io to hit a moonsault, on Bianca Belair and pin her for the 1, for the 2, for the 3, and retain her title. And I said Io was going to retain because it makes sense. Rhea Ripley didn't need another title. because she already had her moment at WrestleMania when she walked in as champion and walked out being Becky Lynch. Bianca Belair is a household name. She didn't need to win the title and whatnot. And I say this kind of builds up to a returning Asuka probably happening tomorrow for the Raw after WrestleMania. I said we could potentially get that where she celebrates with EO and all that. And then when it looked like it's all good and all, Asuka turns on her. And then we get a feud between the two for the title. That could potentially happen. But all in all, that was a good match to set the tone for WrestleMania. That was an amazing time. And I was hoping that the next match could deliver after that, which it surely did. Because that next match we had it was Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre it wasn't for a title. It was a Sin City Street Fight, which was stupid because most of the time it was outside the ring and inside the ring. If you're going to call it a street fight, it really needs to be outside of the stadium or anything like that they used to do back in the days during the Attitude Era. When they had those street fights, it made sense. So I think they just need to get rid of the name period and just call it No Holds Bar or No Disqualifications. It makes pretty sense. But anywho, I took some notes for this match. Sorry about that. I got distracted, while I was recording and all that. But back to what I was saying. There was some good moments in this match that I actually took notes on, and I think one of them was where Drew, took out Damian Priest, and he grabbed one of his brother's cell phones and took a selfie with it. And I think that was funny because, Drew McIntyre's sense of humor, you gotta respect that. Like, this man is a comedian in the ring when needs to. So I think that was interesting. Then we had a moment where Damian Priest hit a move on Drew McIntyre with the steel steps and whatnot, and it was gonna be heavy hitting as I expected. And as we get further into the match, you had Drew McIntyre hitting Damian Priest with the Future Shock DDT onto the steel steps in the ring. And as people thought it was going to be over, Damian kicks out. So, Drew, he going to talk his shit and whatnot and try to get his momentum. But Damian Priest ended up flipping the script. And when he had a steel chair onto his neck and whatnot, and it would look like, Drew was about to pretty much pack him up, he ends up hitting a choke slam on him. And that's when Damian Priest went for the pin. Drew kicks out. So he goes to try to do an old school move. Like Undertaker's old school move. And Drew McIntyre proceeds to push this man on the two tables that was set up outside the ring, which looked crazy. That was a crazy spot. So after that was done, he managed to get Damian Priest, put him back in the ring. And as that's happening, he set up this chair in the corner and put Damian Priest's head there and hit him with a claymore. And that spot looked looked vicious. And after that was done, he pinned Damian Priest for the 1, the 2, and the 3 and walked out as the winner. And I chose Damian Priest to win only because of the crash outs that Drew McIntyre had been on, and Damian Priest, and me thinking, okay, he's gonna benefit off benefit from all of that with the win at WrestleMania. That haven't been the case, and I'm okay with Drew winning. Don't get it twisted, because I feel like this feud is far from over, and they can still continue this on. And at the end of the match, you could tell Damian Priest was saying that I can't breathe and whatnot, and they needed medical attention. So I don't know if that was he was legit hurt or that was like a storyline. So I hope he's doing okay for the most part. But I said that was a very good match and whatnot, and they definitely delivered and what. So there's that. Next we had the Fatal 4-Way match. Braun Breaker taking on Penta, taking on Dominic and Finn Balor. And they didn't like the build for this, but they definitely delivered, as I expected and whatnot. So, as the match started, Braun was looking to spear somebody, but they moved out the way. And then he went on an attack on Penta, and then that's when things started to really get underway. And there was a lot of spots I like in this too. I like that Penta when he put both Dominic and Finn Balor out the ring and does this dive out the ring. Lands on both of them, and he's feeling himself, gain momentum and all that. And out of nowhere, you see Braun Breaker running at high speed, jumps up and does this flying shoulder tackle on the Penta. And let me be honest right now, Braun Breaker didn't carry this match. Like, the things he was doing and dominating both Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic, it cannot be spoken about. Like, he definitely outshined all of them. And as the match was going on, Braun, I think, Penta was going to do a Penta driver, I believe, on Finn, or probably Dominic. And then Braun Breaker comes and does his German suplex on both of them, which I feel like that was a very good spot. Like, it wasn't fully executed, but it was halfway. But it was still good enough. So I like that there. Then the fans, what shocked me, they was really cheering for Dominic, but they was doing it in a sense of how they say it for Cody and Roman. Like, they did, like, the Roman Reigns. But now they saying Dirty Dom. And I was shocked because I thought he was going to get the most boos out of everybody. But that totally wasn't the case. And as the match going on and, you see Braun getting momentum, Carlito comes into play. And he pretty much was interfering through the whole entire time. He ends up pulling one of the refs out and whatnot, and been heavily involved. Then, as he starts to attacking Penta and all that, he gets on the announce table like he's about to put one of them through there, and Braun Breaker gets on top of the other announce table and proceeds to spear the shit out of Carlito and shatter one of the announce tables. And he was done after that point. Like, there was no comeback from Carlito. You had to throw the X up for this man, respectfully. And once that was over, Braun hit a spear on Penta, and then Dom, it's a 619 onto Braun Breaker. And when they're like he's about to go up there for the frog splash, Finn Balor prevents that happening. He gets into the ring, does a sling blade to Braun Breaker, then a shotgun drop kick to where he hits the turnbuckles and all. And that's where he goes in and he set up for the coup de grace. So he hits that on the Braun Breaker, and just when you thought it was gonna be over, in comes Finn Balor hitting a frog splash. I mean, Dominic hitting a frog splash on Finn Balor and pinning him for the 1, the 2, and the 3. And Dominic wins the United States Championship. Sorry, the Intercontinental Championship. And what shocked me was the aftermath when everybody was cheering. You saw some people in the crowd booing, but you saw a whole lot of fucking cheering coming from the crowd. And that was very interesting. And that had me thinking, if he's getting this type of reaction, now he got to turn babyface. But we don't know if they're going to pull the trigger. Because if this momentum kicks on and they cheer Dominic more than booing him, then I can pretty much see him getting kicked out of Judgment Day versus Finn Balor getting kicked out of Judgment Day. So we'll see how that whole thing happens. Most likely Raw at the WrestleMania, and we'll definitely can determine who may be that one that probably get kicked out of Judgment Day. But overall, the right person won. I'm glad it was Finn Balor. I mean, Dominic winning, but him pinning Finn Balor, like, that really sparked a lot of interest, and I was definitely excited for it. So I'm happy for Dom to win. This was the right call. Braun Breaker had his reign was okay. I'm not going to discredit his reign as Intercontinental Champion, but all roads lead to him potentially facing Jay at SummerSlam for that World Heavyweight Championship, which I think Braun Breaker will beat Jay and become new World Heavyweight Champion. That's without a doubt. So this is that. Congrats to Dominic on getting the victory, and it was the right call. Next, we have to talk about Randy Orton and his mystery opponent. Now, he was supposed to face Kevin Owens, but Kevin got, hurt and had to get neck surgery. So the question was who was going to take on Randy, because he issued an open challenge. Now, a lot of people threw some names of the ring. Some people thought it was going to be Nick Aldis, including me, but we knew that was going to happen. Some people said Aleister Black or Malachi Black, whatever name he's going to go with, but you can say all roads leads to him debuting on the SmackDown after WrestleMania. So we already see that happening. And some people throw Rusev, which would have been good and all, but let's keep it a stack. Randy Orton is the babyface still, and you do not want him to lose. And of course, you don't want Rusev to lose, especially debuting back on WWE again. Or returning back to WWE again, excuse me. So it wouldn't make any sense. So, out of nowhere, we end up getting Joe Hendry, the TNA champion, Joe Hendry. And that crowd was at an uproar. And if people who not familiar with Joe Hendry, like, this man, his theme song, his entrance, you can't go wrong with it. It is so spot on. And there was nothing but positive reactions when he was in that ring with Randy. And don't get me wrong, he definitely had some offense in. Like, when Randy tried to hit an RKO on him, got reversed, and he does a roll-up. And Randy was going to kick out of that. Joe Hendry was able to get a lot of offense in. And towards the end, where he thought that he was in full control, and then he does his pose where the camera zooms in, you see Randy out of nowhere RKOs him and pretty much packs him up for the 1, the 2, and the 3, and Randy ends up winning. But you could tell he gave him respect afterwards, because when it looked like he was about to pack him up again, he gave him respect, saying that, you gave it your all, and for you to debut at WrestleMania, it's a blessing. And definitely Joe Hendry, he embraced it all and just soaking in the moment. So as it was done and all that, and you tell him, you're good, you can leave out now. He pulls him right back in, hits an RKO on him, and when it looks like he was going to potentially do it again or probably punt kick him, Randy decides to do his pose where he turns around, camera zooms in, and then he does his signature pose he do every time in his entrance. And I think that was funny. That was very good and whatnot. So I'm glad Randy was able to get his moment again, especially celebrating his 20th WrestleMania appearance. You gotta respect that. So that was very good. And I definitely enjoyed that moment. And I'm so glad that, Joe Hendry was able to get his moment right there. Now, the next match, Logan Paul taking on AJ Styles. Personally, for me, I was not that invested into it. You know, it was an okay match. However, I think there were certain spots in there that was very entertaining, but not until I really go back and say, no, I gotta watch this match again. And then to make matters worse, Logan Paul ended up winning. And how that happened was um after the counters of style clashes and whatnot, you see one Logan Paul man try to come through under the ring or sneaking up, towards the side of the ring. And he had the brass knuckles that he was gonna pass to Logan, and out of nowhere you see Karrion Cross comes in, prevents that. So he grabs the brass knuckles, and AJ Styles caught eye of that. He comes out of the ring to confront Karrion Cross, and Karrion Cross telling him, "Listen, if you use this right here, you can win this match." Like, and he's egging him on, like, just use them and win it. Granted, the ref is looking really directly at them as they're talking. So when he's thinking about that idea, AJ just tosses the brass knuckles and his Karrion Cross. So as it's happening, and this is where you think he's gonna gain momentum out of that. He tried to hit Logan Paul with a phenomenal forearm, only for him to miss, and Logan hits him with Lucky Right, and then some new finisher that he added into his arsenal, hits AJ with it, and pins him for the 1, the 2, and the 3, which I was completely shocked on because I did not expect Logan Paul to beat AJ Styles, whose track record at WrestleMania is not that good. So I was definitely having mixed emotions about that because I felt like AJ should have beat Logan, but I think from Triple H standpoint, he don't want Logan to take so much L's or whatnot, which again is not going to hurt him. I truly believe AJ should have won this match because how can he build momentum off that, losing to Logan Paul? And I think they setting everything up for him, for AJ to have a feud with Karrion Cross down the line. So we'll see how that whole thing turns out. But overall, this was a meh match for me. Didn't really care that much about it and whatnot. And I'm just upset that we didn't get the finish that we expected it, and that was AJ beating Logan Paul. So it is what it is. So gonna move on from that. Then we had Stone Cold coming out, and he pretty much, comes on the ATV and whatnot and does this. He does the attendance record, speaking about it and all. So once that was done, and he gets the beer, celebrating and all that too. I meant to point this out. When he had the ATV and he was coming through the ring and all that, he crashed into one of the barricades, and this lady, for some reason, I think was just over dramatic. Because when it happened, she pretty much tried to sell it in the sense that she got hit by it. And then even by one of the beer cans too. And then she's going this absolute tear and, just making a whole dramatic scene and whatnot, to where, oh my God, I got hit with a beer can and stuff like that. And, you see one of the security guards go over there to console her and whatnot, and firsthand that she gonna try to file a lawsuit against Stone Cold by him tossing a beer can straight to her and all that. And the way she tried to quote unquote sell it, she gonna take that to the bank. And let's be honest right now, I think she ain't gonna win that, without a doubt. But you see Stone Cold to go over there to console her and whatnot, I guess to apologize and everything. But the way how she was acting, for a fact that she's gonna try her best to try to sue Stone Cold and WWE and all that. So how they gonna go with that whole situation, I don't think she's gonna win it. I really don't. And it's just a waste of time. So there's that. Now, for the moment of truth, and what I really wanted to deep dive into, that is the main event match. Cody Rhodes taking on John Cena. Let me tell you something right now. My expectations for this match was at an all-time high because I was expecting a whole lot considering the fact of what happened at the Elimination Chamber. So, John Cena comes out and it's just pitch black. You just only see his name and that's it. Walks out and all that. To John Cena sucks, all that. Don't embrace the crowd, nobody. Gets into the ring, preparing himself and whatnot. Then you see Cody Rhodes, and he had like this whole like dirt bike crew, and they ride on the motorcycles and all that stuff. And then he has this helmet that looks like an Iron Man helmet. You know, probably paying homage to him, but it was dope. So Cody had a dope interest in all that, which I already expected. And as he gets in the ring, match starts. Now, here's one of my biggest problems that I have with this match. I was expecting that it was going to be very fast paced from start. Get to the middle. Let everybody gain momentum, of course. And then, towards the ending, should be firing on all cylinders. That was not the case. Everything was slow pacing from start to end. And this is what I had an issue with a whole lot. Because it was already poor booking to begin with. And what I said in my prediction video, that if they want to redeem themselves after all of that nonsense, this main event match has to hit. Bottom line. It has to hit. And what we got, it was terrible. And I definitely took notes on this one. So, Cena tried to do his five moves of doom on Cody. Now, you know when he does that, it's always like boom, boom, boom. Very quick. He took his time with this one. So each move had, like I said, about 30 seconds in between. And when it looked like he was about to do the "You Can't See Me" and whatnot, Cody hits a poke in the eye and whatnot, and he goes on his momentum until John Cena stops that, does his five knuckle shuffle. He does the AA. Then does his five knuckle shuffle. Then when it like he was about to give him another AA, it got countered. So that's when Cody tried to get on his momentum and all. So as he's trying, but Cena stopped it. Hits him with another AA off the top rope. And he went to go pin him, but it wasn't going to be enough. You know Cody's going to kick out of that. Then Cody tries to hit a crossroads, but got countered by AA into a STF. And now this is when everything started to fall in Cena's hands. As much time when Cody tried to get close to the ropes, Cena kept pulling him away. So he was already inflicting damage on the Cody and whatnot. So, there's that. Then it was another spot where, I think Cody was going to go on the attack, but where Cena was positioned, the ref was behind him. And as he tries to hit him, Cena bounced off the ref. He gets knocked out, and Cody hits him with a crossroads and then go for the pin. But again, ref is out. Then John Cena proceeds to expose the turnbuckle and hit Cody in the head with it multiple times. And then hits the fourth AA on him. So as it's happening, the ref is still out. So it doesn't really it makes no sense whatsoever to go for a pin. Then out of nowhere, Travis Scott music hits. And you knew he was going to get involved in this because he was going to be on WrestleMania, without a doubt. So she seen us smiling and all that, embracing the moment. So Travis Scott slowly walking to the ring. So as he gets there, he gets onto the ropes and whatnot, and Cena, embracing him for being here and all that too. So as it's happening, Cena like, yo, I'm about to go pack up Cody. So as he's about to go that way, John, he hits Cena, then try to get to Travis Scott. Travis Scott jumps off the rope. So as that happened, he hits a crossroads onto John Cena, and when the ref went in to do the pin, Travis Scott pulls the ref out of the ring. So now that should have been counted as a disqualification because last time I checked, this was a standard match. So no DQ being called. Cody gets pissed at what Travis Scott did, and he tells him, get in the ring. To which Travis Scott said, all right, cool, I'm going to do it. So he jumps over the ropes, gets in there, and they have some back and forth words, and Cody proceeds to grab Travis Scott, hits him with a crossroads, rolls him out of the ring and whatnot. And he put all his attention to him. Little Cena is literally in the corner with the title in his hand, ready to strike him. And once he's about to strike, Cody's able to stop him. And you see John Cena begging and pleading, like, I'm sorry and whatnot. Please don't do this and all that. And you would think Cody Rhodes will not fall for the okie doke and literally make Cena pay. This man proceeds to take his eye off the ball, and John Cena baited him in, hits him with a low blow yet again. Then he grabs the title and hit Cody multiple times with it, tosses it away, grabs the ref, drags him to the middle of the ring, and he covers Cody Rhodes until the ref was able to gain consciousness again, and pins him for the 1, the 2, and the 3. And John Cena is now a 17th time world champion, passing Ric Flair. And when that happened, I was excited for Cena to get his 17th world title because he definitely deserved that without a doubt. I think you cannot erase that moment right there for Cena. I think he is the GOAT of GOATs. Let's keep it a stack. And I'm happy for him winning. However, that finish was so fucking bad. Here's why. They could have went another direction instead of Cena low blowing Cody, and then decides to just hit him with a title multiple times just to win. I didn't like this because The Rock, who was a focal point of Cena turning heel and whatnot, he haven't showed up for those last 4 weeks leading up to Mania at all. It was mostly Cena and Cody, and even their build up leading up to their match at WrestleMania was very lackluster. And I feel like Rock not being a part of that plays a role to what that match happened tonight. And the fact that he don't make no appearance whatsoever ever since Elimination Chamber, did not show up. That also played a reason to why this was terrible. Because at least I know if he would have showed up and tried to prevent Cody from winning, we could have got a moment with Stone Cold pops up there too. And who knows, probably gives him a stunner and all that. Now, I did see Cena was gonna be appearing on Raw and SmackDown these next couple of weeks and whatnot. That's why I kind of knew he was going to win. And I feel like stuff like that, you should have just kept a low profile on and let things happen organically. So I'm not a fan of that. But I'm definitely upset that Rock didn't play a role in this, and we had the finish that we had. Because Cena could have still won, but it could have been a lot more different versus him going that coward route and finishing Cody off like that. So I definitely hated that. And that's what we ended up getting for Cena to win his 17th Raw title and pretty much conclude WrestleMania. Now, overall, in my personal opinion, this was about a six. I give it a 6 out of 10. And if I had the opportunity to change main events, I would have put night one's main event on a night 2, because at least I know that would have closed the show, no problem. And I wouldn't have no issue with it, because the simple fact that those 3 matches on night 2, the triple threat match to kick it off, the fatal 4-way match, and Randy Orton versus Joe Hendry, those saved the main event. Because if it wasn't for that, this would have been absolutely terrible. So I'm upset with that. And what I'm really pissed off about this whole thing, the build up to some of these matches right now was so lackluster. Compared to last year, there was a whole lot of build up that made you excited for both nights of WrestleMania. I'll use this for example. CM Punk, who didn't have a match on WrestleMania 40 because he was injured, had back and forth interactions with Drew McIntyre, and that was interesting. And Drew was facing Seth for the World Heavyweight Champion, but because of the crash out between Drew and CM Punk, it made things so interesting. Then you got to think about it from this standpoint. Rock, when he introduced his final boss character as a heel, he was heavily involved with the whole bloodline situation, and then with Cody and Seth Rollins that led to the tag team match for night 1. And then that led into the bloodline rules match for night 2, when it was Cody versus Roman. And the storytelling that they told, where everybody pretty much got involved between Jimmy and Jay at one point, then Solo, John Cena, then The Rock, then Undertaker coming back to pack up The Rock, then Seth Rollins with his Shield gear. Like, look how much stuff you can peel away that made you say, oh no, this was so freaking good. There's a lot. And they delivered in the right God run. Not to say that ain't happened for WrestleMania 41, but the execution was god awful. And I truly believe they should have did a way better job than what we have gotten. This was by far a mid WrestleMania. I can say this now. WrestleMania 39 and WrestleMania 40, both of them was way better than 41. Point blank. There's no talking about that at all. Those two capitalized, way better than what WrestleMania 41 delivered. And this is terrible. So I'm definitely was upset about it. And with 2 weeks away from Backlash, how can you build up any other match and whatnot outside of just rematches? Because that's what we're going to get. And let me point this out real quick before I wrap up. You need to start putting WrestleMania back in early April. I don't know why they decided to do it around Easter weekend. Pretty much the end of April, leading up to May, where you have another PLE earlier in that month because y'all want to follow suit with your upcoming schedules and all that. If you're gonna do this, you need to do WrestleMania early April or just the middle of it to give time for your next PLE to start building up momentum for certain matches, because now things are gonna feel rushed. And what can you tell with 2 weeks? It's gonna be tough. So I hope and pray they do a better job and put WrestleMania back on the early schedules. The early month of April, because I think that's what they do better at, and they thrive on that because it gives them weeks to build those storylines and have way better booking than just with only 2 weeks. And now you're trying to figure out, all right, boom, 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 this is what we're going to do. So I really hope they go back to doing that. But overall, in my opinion, this was a mid WrestleMania, but one of the matches that I definitely enjoyed the most, first and foremost, was that main event, night 1. That took the cake out of everything. It was so picture perfect. I gotta add in the Jay and Gupta, Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, the triple threat, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, the Fatal 4-Way, Randy and Joe Hendry. They delivered. But everything else, some matches, you could have just kept on Raw and SmackDown. Just my personal opinion. Still, there's that. I wanted to, unfold on both nights and whatnot, just to pretty much cover up, what happened on WrestleMania. And, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. But comment down below. Let me know, what did you think about WrestleMania night 1 and night 2? What's your thoughts on some of the wins and whatnot? And give me your takes on, do you think this was a middle of the pack WrestleMania or one of the best ones that you've seen? Who knows? I definitely want to hear your opinions down below and whatnot. And I always appreciate y'all love and support for rocking with me all the time. So y'all make sure that y'all hit that like button, that you subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop content right here on this channel. And I appreciate y'all love and support. Road to 200 subscribers. Continue to keep God first. Trust the process of anything that you do in life. Your time will come, and I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Peace.